Hi and welcome to part 2 of my picture books for autumn. If you haven't watched any of my videos before, my name is Sarah and I am an illustrator. I'm currently working on my first picture book. So in this video I'm going to be taking you through 4 books inspired by autumn. If you haven't watched the part 1, then I'll pop the link to that in the description. You can watch that one for even more books for autumn. Yes, the reason I decided to do this is because one of the ways that I learn is to look at other people's work, and by reading a broad range of picture books you can really see all the different ways of working, and it helps you work out what you enjoy and bring some of those aspects into your work as well. So yeah, as I said, I've got 4 books to talk about today, so I'm going to try and keep it quite brief on each so this isn't super long. Think of it more as like a introduction to each book, and then if you want to explore it more, then you can grab yourself a copy and look at it in more detail. So the first book we have is Oak, the Littlest Leaf Girl. This is a brand new book written and illustrated by Fleming. And yeah, it came out just in time for the autumn, so I thought I should get myself a copy of it. So I'm just going to read the blurb to give you an idea of the story, and then we'll take a look at some of my favourite things about each book and something that I'm kind of inspired by to use in my own work. If you look very closely amongst the dancing leaves of a great oak tree, you might just spot a teeny little face and a flash of red hair. That's Oak. Say hello. A warm and reassuring story perfect for helping worried children feel brave about change. So one of the things I really love about this is all the details. Lucy's done a really great job at creating this world of Oak's world. So it's sort of like an imaginary, she's like an imaginary creature. She like is, I guess, a leaf, or like a mythical leaf creature. And yeah, there's so much beautiful detail in all these scenes, and it really like helps you to visualize Oak's world. And all the details like what she's wearing and the little leaves in her hair, and all the clothes and things are made out of sort of natural materials that Oak and her family would have found around the trees and the forest. So she's wearing like a dress made of butterflies, and the mum has a dress on that looks like it's made of flower petals. And then in this nighttime scene we see their house again, like really building Oak's world and all these lovely little details that I think children will really enjoy, just sort of getting absorbed in all of these. I know as a child I really enjoyed those kind of books where you see these sort of hidden worlds that are made up, and especially sort of other kind of domestic worlds. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Bramley Hedge series, all the amazing details in there, so this is kind of a little similar to that. And we've got yeah, we can see like the dress hanging up and all of her things, like her little teapot. It's got a little acorn as the lid. It's very sweet. It's a very sweet story, I think. And this book has one of these sort of surprise pages at a key sort of turning point in the story. So as it's autumn, the leaves need to leave the tree, and Oak is worried about doing that, but her parents say, oh, in your own time, when you're ready, then you need to jump from the tree. When she is ready, we have this page where you have to turn it vertically to see what's happening, and although it's kind of, I find it a little bit annoying when I'm reading a book to have to like flip the orientation round, I think using this as a way to like show that big change of perspective, like her she's been able to be brave, her thinking has been changed, and like now she's experiencing, and actually it's kind of exciting to jump from the tree. So I think that's a really clever way of thinking, okay, how can I use, although I'm limited by this, a book of, you know, we're in a certain size and shape, how can I use those limitations to like really tell the story, and what can I do to make those sort of big dramatic moments like this. So in a way that we might also think about how do we make the page turns exciting and dramatic. Like one way of adding that is you actually have to turn the book around. So I thought that was a nice touch, and maybe something that I wouldn't have ever thought of doing, but now that's this is one of the reasons why I like to look at other people's work, so then you can start storing away those little ideas and tools to potentially, it might be a good thing to use in your own work. So that's a little introduction to Oak. Yeah, do find yourself a copy if you'd like to explore that story more. Next up we have Storm by Sam Usher, and there's a whole series of these books kind of based on different weathers. Obviously this one is the most autumnal. They, or at least the ones I've read, I'm fairly sure all of them include the boy and his granddad and the kind of adventures they go on. I love Sam's illustrations. I really like the watercolour and the ink combined, and this is kind of, I feel like this is what I wish my work looked like, but it's not quite my style in terms of how I work. I think Sam paints like the whole piece in one big sheet of paper, which means if there's any mistakes you have to start again, which must be really frustrating, and I don't think I have the skills or patience to work like that, but the results are really beautiful. So we have this story of it's a stormy day and the boy and granddad are wanting to fly a kite. So let me read you the blurb. When I woke up this morning, it was stormy. It's blowing a gale, so a boy and his granddad decide it's perfect weather for kite flying. There's just one problem. First, they have to find the kite. Their search brings up lots of wonderful memories of times together, but when they finally make it outside, a brand new adventure carries them away. So one of the things I really love about this story is we start off by the boy looking outside at the storm outside his window, and then we have we flip between these interior scenes and the outside storm. So we see all the leaves everywhere, and this guy who's sweeping them is kind of like a key sort of character in these outside scenes in terms of we see it changing. So let me show the others so you understand what I mean by that. We go back, we see what they're doing inside, and then we go back outside and it's got darker out there and the leaves are swirling around a lot more. There's a much bigger pile to sweep up. The storm is definitely like intensifying. And then we go back inside again, they're looking for the kite. That's the narrative that's happening inside. And then back outside again, the guy who's been sweeping the leaves is now like clinging on for dear life because it's really crazy stormy weather. Yeah, I kind of enjoy how usually a storm would be seen as a bad thing, a scary thing, you want to like take shelter, but in this story it's very much seen as like a fun, exciting, adventurous thing, and yeah, they're not put off by the fact that it's like actually crazy weather. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of nice that it's a bit more adventurous in that sense. There's some like lovely world building of their home. All of these books actually I'm showing you today, I think, do a really great job of like giving us all the details of their lives, of their the different kind of worlds that they're in. they make it outside to fly the kite. And then we have the sort of imaginary, magical element of this. So they go out and the kite actually lifts them off the ground, and then they are caught up in this big kind of carnival of kites really in the sky flying around. It's very exciting, and I love how the story is very rooted in everyday, but then we've just pushed it a little bit further into this sort of magical world, maybe of a child's imagination, and it's very much told as though this is what happened. And I think I really enjoy those kind of stories where we just push a little bit into the imaginary as though it was real. So I guess a classic example is like the tiger who came to tea. I'm not questioning whether the tiger actually came to tea, like it said he did, so why wouldn't a tiger come to tea? And I think that's one of the sort of things that makes it really charming for children. So they're up in the sky and the storm gets worse, so they decide to fly back home for safety. And you can see like the lightning's going on here, it's very dark, but that whole like idea of they didn't just take the kite down and walk home, like they flew home with the kite. Maybe it's a little bit believable because it was such a windy day that maybe they could have taken off. And it kind of brings you back to the beginning. So at the beginning, the boy is kind of saying to the granddad, oh, you could do all these different things when it's windy. So we could kick up the leaves, we could go swooping and flying, and the children are like running in the wind and pretending that they're flying. And then at the end of the book, when they are actually flying the kite, it says, we did swooping and flying. So perhaps there's a little question about, is this in the boy's imagination rather than something that actually happened? But I like to think that it did happen, and they did go swooping and flying with the kite, and they flew all the way home. So that's Storm. Really enjoyed this book. It's maybe a little longer than your average picture book length, but there's lots to enjoy about this one. Third, we have The Leaf Thief by Alice Hemming and Nicola Slater. I thought I'd already read this book, but having picked this up, I realised I've actually read The Snow Thief, which is the same characters. So let me read the blurb to you. Squirrel is so cross. Yesterday there were loads of beautiful leaves on his tree, but today some of the leaves are missing. They have been stolen, which means there's a leaf thief on the loose. A brilliantly funny tale of one squirrel's enormous surprise at the inevitable change of seasons. So this is quite a funny book about autumn. It's very much, I would say, the other two books I've just shown you were kind of set in autumnal worlds. This one feels much more like educational in that sense about autumn, and it even has like a little explanation at the back about the changing of the seasons and things like that. But it's a very funny story. It doesn't feel educational. One thing I really love about this book is the expressions of the character, and like the way that the character's very simple, but they have very big expressions. Let me find you an example. So here's squirrel and bird interacting, and like the way they're being drawn is very simple, but you can really see the emotions that are going on. A spread I particularly like is squirrel is trying to relax. So he tries a bit of yoga and tries having a bath and tries just sort of lying in bed and relaxing at night. But you can see on his face that like he's not at all relaxed. He's really looks really sort of startled and alert and that whole being able to create that through the body language and the expressions on such simple characters, I think is really, really great. It's very squirrely as well. Like, I think if you see a squirrel out and about, they always seem sort of startled and they move very quickly and things like that. So it's capturing the essence of an actual squirrel and also capturing that sort of anxiety. Yeah, so basically the leaves are blowing away and Squirrel thinks that someone's stealing them, learns that it's actually the wind blowing the leaves off the trees, which you can see in this spread. It's really busy, there's lots going on, it's very dynamic, like squirrels hanging on by one arm, and birds kind of flapping around, and the little poor mouse is sailing in a puddle but his hat's flown off and you can see the wind coming through, and you can also see like the leaves being scattered everywhere. And I really like the like drama. Again, it's simple, but there's a lot going on. I like in this book how the text is moving as well. Yeah, the text placement I think is really interesting. You know, like sometimes the text is really big and then it'll be smaller in different places. And I also really enjoy the colour scheme of having all the autumn colours but then having these bright blue and green colours. It's quite different to maybe what I would have naturally chosen, and that's why I really like it. Those really like vibrant colours, they're really cool. And I realised that it also goes very well with my mug that I'm using at the moment for my tea, which has that bright blue, and then on the inside, if you can see, it's green on the inside, and this little bear character, I think he would fit in very well with the book. So it's a nice little pairing of my bear mug and the leaf thief. So yeah, I really enjoyed this story, yeah, look out for this series. I think Nicola's done a great job of bringing the woodland characters to life, and it is a very funny story as well. So yeah, Alice's writing's great. So definitely look out for more stuff by them. And then the last book, I've left my favourite till last, but like, don't tell the other books. I'm not sure you're allowed to have favourites. I mean, you are. This is Sweep. This is by Louise, Greig and Júlia Sardà. I'm fairly sure I've mispronounced those names. And let me read the blurb to you. Ed's bad mood begins as something small, but before long it grows, gathers pace and sweeps through the whole town. An uplifting story about confronting big emotions. So this is one of those stories where the words and the pictures are doing they're kind of telling different stories. You need both of them to come together to like give us the whole picture. If we only had one, we would be lacking something and maybe we'd be thinking that the story is about something different. So it's about Ed, who's in a bad mood, and how he kind of lets that mood take over. I'll just read the introduction pages and you can understand like how the metaphor has been created. Ed in a good mood is a very nice Ed. Ed in a bad mood is not. And Ed was in a bad mood. Not one of those tiny whirlwinds in a teacup that blow over before they have even begun. No, this mood swept over him in a raging storm and stuck. It began as something small, really small, hardly a thing at all, but before Ed knew it, it had grown, gathered pace and swept him off down a path. Ed's bad mood thought this was a wonderful idea, but the things that got in Ed's way did not. So basically, they're using this metaphor of sweeping up leaves as that sense of letting a bad mood take over and sort of the destructiveness that has on other people. And so we can see Ed there looking at those leaves and thinking, okay, we're going to sweep those up and I guess sweep them out of the way. It starts with just a dog and a cat, and then it gets bigger and bigger, and it's really amusing how ridiculous this gets. So he's sweeping up buses and cars, and basically has like swept a massive pile. Yeah, there's a lot of humour in the disconnect between the pictures and the words, and in like how over the top it is, and it really, like, that kind of hyperbole really makes a good point of showing how ridiculous it is to let our bad moods get that bad. Yeah, I love all the details in these spreads, like all the background details. You can really spend a lot of time looking at what's going on, and I also love this sort of style of illustration. It's not like cute and vibrant like this, but it does have a really charming quality, I think, and it's really really funny. I love how, like, angry he looks. It's quite a toned down colour palette. Adds the brightest sort of character. Everything else is a little bit more muted, which helps him to stand out. And yeah, as I said, all these lovely details, all the people and buildings and buses and bikes, and we've got a bike up here somehow. I guess maybe Ed swept it up there. Yeah, it's definitely a book that I think children could enjoy spending a lot of time looking at all the details and really entering into that world. And I think the way that it sort of tells this story or shares this message of not letting your bad mood get out of control is done in a really funny way. It doesn't feel like you're being, like, told this is what you should do, but I think, yeah, it's a really great way of getting that message across. It's really funny. So definitely this, I think, is my favourite book of the autumn book series. If you have a favourite from the ones that I have looked at either in this video or my previous one, like, please do let me know. I'd love to hear what you think. If there's any other books that are kind of set in autumn that you really enjoy, please let me know about those too. And if you'd like to see more of these kind of videos, perhaps I could do a winter or Christmas one next. So yeah, please say hi in the comments and let me know what you think. And I will hopefully see you very soon with some more illustration process work, as I'm currently working on a picture book, and I'm filming little bits and bobs as I go along, and hoping to kind of compile those into videos and share the process along the way. So look out for that. You can subscribe to make sure you don't miss when those videos come out, and I'll see you then.